Sit. It's a cookie. It's not as good as the meat treats I was giving you. This is Penny, and this is Penny's roadmap to success. Now, Penny, as we saw in the first video, is a little bit insecure, and you can tell because she barked to move away. She was barking in a very territorial way. It took me about an hour to earn her trust. I didn't try to pet her. I didn't try to call her. I didn't look at her. I tossed treats and let her gradually approach me. I would suggest the family use the same approach when people come over. But it'd be nice if you could have people practice this one at a time. So maybe I have a lot of people that actually go through the Rolodex and they're just like, oh, we haven't talked to Tom and Frank or Tom and Hillary for a while. Let's invite them over for dinner or for some wine. And then you get to practice some of these things with the dog. Sit. Because I believe a lot of her insecurity is because she didn't have any rules or structure and she was able to tell the humans when to pet her and give her attention. So I think she was confused as her perception of authority amongst the humans. So to change that, we went over ways to add structure to petting. So what I call petting with a purpose. So if she wants the treat, sit, sit, or whatever it is. What she does is she typically jumps up, sit, sit. So I don't always have to give a treat. I can use a reward. I have a treat, so she's very interested. But if she demands attention by jumping at me, scratching at me, nudging me, I'm going to give her a counter order, tell her to sit. When she sits, I'm going to pet her on her chin and say just the word sit, not good girl. That way it associates the word with the action, with the reward, and makes the dog more inclined to want to do it in other capacities. Petting with a purpose, sit. That was a demonstration of the escalating consequences. But petting with a purpose is one of the easiest things you can do, but everybody in the family needs to do it. So remember, we're going to use the word paycheck, or we can change it to something else. If we see somebody's petting the dog's standing, we say paycheck. That just means I think you may have forgotten to ask the dog to do it. To sit or do something to earn it, and the person's petting stops immediately, doesn't argue, and just says sit, and as soon as the dog sits, pet and say sit, and say, actually I asked her to sit before you came in, and she stood up when you heard you close the door, and I continued petting, and David said that's okay, because it is. Now if you just want to pet her, still ask her to sit. We want her to learn to earn her affection, which is going to help boost her self-esteem and her confidence. If you give a dog attention willy-nilly, then after a while they just look at it as their divine right, and it's no longer precious, so it's not really an effective reward. The other thing I went over was passive training, which is basically rewarding the dog for desired actions and behaviors. So every time the dog comes to you, pet her and say here. Every time she sits down, pet her and say sit. Every time she lays down, pet her and say crash, or whatever your word is. If there's anything else she does, if you want to teach her to stretch, every time she stretches, pet her and say stretch. And after a month or two, you'll be able to do this on command. We use passive training to help her understand what her word is to eat. And again, for that, put a Post-it note right above the food so everybody knows on the wall, so everybody knows what her command word is to eat. When it comes to eating, make sure that the humans are eating something first. 5 or more bites. Just one Triscuit is fine, but we need to eat in 5 small bites. Then we give the dog permission to eat. Once she gives her permission to eat, she takes her first bite, we say feast or whatever the word is, and then we can walk away. We're going to monitor the dog. As soon as the dog walks more than 7 feet away from the bowl, we go over, we pick up the bowl, we dump the food into the container, and we put the empty bowl back down. She does not eat again to the next meal. If the dog doesn't eat, if it stays there for 3 minutes, I would pick it up after 3 minutes. But as soon as it walks away, that's its way of saying I'm done. Don't cheat, because eventually she will become hungry. You're giving her an opportunity to eat. She's just turning her nose up because you're telling her what to do. So once she understands the only way I'm going to get permission to eat this is by sitting, she'll start sitting faster and faster. Other rules that we went over would be that she has to sit before we let her in or out of a door. Remember, if she doesn't sit, we say once, and then we walk away for 1 minute, then 2 minutes, then 4 minutes, then 8 minutes, keep doubling the length of time. We're not going to allow her in the kitchen when we're preparing food. She can be in the kitchen everywhere else, but when we're preparing food, from the work island to the fridge, you can't go in the kitchen. When people are eating food at the dinner table, I would do a line kind of where the edge of the carpet is, and just that whole part of the room is off limits while we're eating food. The rest of the time you can go in there. And if somebody's eating a snack or somewhere in the house, we're going to establish that 7-foot boundary around them. The person doing it can stand up and move towards, or somebody else can get in their way if we need to. But remember, always use the hiss first. The 4 escalating consequences: hiss number 1, stand up abruptly number 2, and turn to face the dog. Keep pivoting till it's stationary, then take 2 steps backwards. Left, right, stop, wait 1 second, then go back to do what you're doing. That's escalating consequence number 2. Number 3 is we're going to march directly at the dog with intent. Don't stop, but give the dog a flinching experience. So move pretty rapidly towards it until it turns sideways or greater. As soon as it does, stop in place, put your feet together. Thank you, sweetheart. Pivot your hips until she's stationary. We go to the second consequence, and then take those steps back, pause, and then go back to doing what you're doing. 4th consequence is the leash timeout. We're going to put her on the leash. Here you go, sweetheart. And step on it about as far away from here as she is long. Wait for her to sit. Don't tell her to sit. If she throws a temper tantrum, don't say a word. When she sits, if she sits here, take the foot that's on a leash and slide it towards her to take the tension off the leash. Wait for her to lie down. Again, don't tell her to sit, don't tell her to lie down. As soon as she lies down, I can very slowly take my foot off the leash. I don't tell her we're done. I wait for her to figure it out. She'll go walk away dragging the leash. Dangerous to drag a leash unsupervised, so only do this if she's going to be supervised. If a minute or two later she gets in trouble again, as she runs by, step on the leash where you apply the consequence. A couple minutes go by and she's good, then we can take the leash off. It's not a quid pro quo. Right? Yes, thank you, sweetheart. Let me see. If there are things that she likes to get into, you're like a parrot now. What you can do is drop that item on the floor and claim it the way that I demonstrated with the clothesline clip. Now, if you forget how to do that or you want more information about that, message me. I can send you a video. I call that leadership exercise. I have a lot of videos on my website and share it with you. We went over a focus exercise here. I'd like everybody in the family to do the focus exercise at least once a day. Again, something else that I will try to remember to put a link in the write-up, and if I forget, I can send you a video for it. Remember, at first it's 1 second, 1 second, and then say the word after the treat goes in the mouth. Always say the command word after the treat goes in the mouth. Eventually, and do it for all 12 treats, and do it in different parts of the house. Everybody in the house should do it once a day. After the first day, she'll pretty much be staring at you. So you're staring at me, I might go take the treat, hold it, snap it out to the side. She looks over there, put it back here. As soon as she looks up at me, 2 seconds on the second movement only. Eventually it gets to the point where it's 20 seconds on that second movement. The first movement, always go a couple inches in front of your nose and go straight towards the dog's face. When you're doing this, you should be able to see the treat and the dog's eyes at the same time. You want to maintain her gaze here. We want to go very progressively until we get to that 20-second mark. And then eventually, if she's barking, she's doing something wrong, you say, focus. She stops what she's doing and looks up at you. It's a very powerful way to redirect your dog's attention. I also went over an exercise using the leash to stop her from jumping on people. If you forget how to do that one, message me and I can send you a link to a video about that. She's wearing a martingale collar because she pulls on a leash. I went through the 5 rules for a structured walk with the guardian. And again, another video that you can mention me if you forget what they are. But make sure you keep her next to you. Make sure you pop the leash quickly, but immediately take the tension off. Do not let her move in front. She was getting a little bit in front in one of the guardians. So as soon as her shoulder gets in front of your hip or her chest is in front of your torso, pop and then relax. And that's about how fast it should be. If she starts going behind you, wrap the leash around your palm once. Sometimes I'll do it a couple times, then I'll do the last one on 2 fingers, 3 fingers, 1 finger. So the idea is this is the only correction I need to do to get her in position rather than a big correction. And if you want to teach her to walk in a heel on command, let me know. We can set you up with a daycare training or in-home training for that. What are we forgetting? Other rules, no furniture for at least 30 days or as long as the problem's going on. After that point, furniture with an invitation and only for good behavior. So if she's on the furniture, she starts barking, she has to get down. Remember, the preferred way that I like to get the dog down is using positive reinforcement. So if she jumps on the couch, I would toss a treat on the ground. When she gets it, I would say off. So we're creating a vocabulary for getting off of the furniture because it is a demotion. Let me see. Sit. Avoid saying good dog. Instead, say whatever the command the dog happens to be doing at the time. Now, something else you can do if you have guests come over, she's barking and reacting like that, is set her up for success by maybe letting her out, taking her for a long walk, playing fetch, or letting her play in the backyard, taking your doggy daycare before you have people come over for Christmas, or have a play date. For Christmas, I would set up a play date for her buddy who lives nearby. Let them play. Take her in the morning. Let her play as much as they want. That way, when we have our guests come over, the dog is pooped. Most people don't realize dogs sleep 17 hours a day. So if we take them to daycare for 8 hours, we've eclipsed that 7-hour window. They're normally awake. They come home, they look for a soft place to sleep, and they're much easier to deal with. Remember to use the word vocabulary. If we're saying come here, and the word is actually here, we say vocabulary to whoever said it, and they say, here. We're just going to use, and make a list of all the command words so that you can, everybody uses the same ones. And if we have new commands, make sure we come up with a funny command word. Again, dogs can read our facial expressions. So if you say crash and your dog flops down, your friends will laugh and the dog feels better about itself. I like to come up with a naughty dog name for my dog. So if the dog's doing something I don't want, I say a different name than their given name. That way when we say their given name, they're more apt to come to us. Because she likes to not always come outside, we don't want to chase her if she's running around because that's exactly what she wants. So if she's not in practice in coming in, go outside, walk 10 steps out and have a treat. Do the come exercise like we did in the video. And then when she comes to you, let her go back and play. Then come back inside, wait a minute or two, go back out, do it again. But this time maybe 8 steps outside your door, then 6 steps, then 4 steps. Eventually you just get to open the door and she comes right to you, toss the treat inside, and just like I did here when I said off, when I toss the treat inside, I might say inside, sit. Or like right now I'm saying sit for passive training to reward desired behaviors. Most of us spend our time correcting the dog for doing what's wrong as opposed to recognizing and rewarding the dog for what's right. Because she's a little insecure, not a huge, but she is a little insecure, I would recommend you guys try to teach her some new tricks. Go into YouTube. All these trainers want to be Caesar Milan. They want a TV show. So they'll teach you how to do all the things. Now, she knows some tricks, but if maybe one of the family members takes a turn on Sunday and teaches her a new trick and then teaches everybody in the family, and all week long we practice balance your treat on the nose or whatever it is, and then now she practices and reps that a lot, then the next week somebody else in the family teaches her something different on Sunday. So each week, maybe each person in the family teaches her one new trick. At the end of the week, or end of a month and a half, she knows 5 or 6 new tricks. That's going to boost her self-esteem and confidence, and also give us a way to redirect her attention. Escalating consequences works great. Let me see. Don't get in a habit of moving around her. Walk through her. She needs to learn the choreography. When the human's coming, my job is to defer away from them. If she jumps up on us, if we step back, we're deferring. So try to recognize that she's about to jump up and then hiss before she gets there. But the main thing is to practice the leash non-jumping exercise. Again, I would do it in the living room, and I would have everybody text or call when they're coming home. So we put her on a leash, we step on the leash, have the person approach, make sure the person, if she's here, this is as far as she can get. I turn sideways. I tell her to sit. As soon as she sits, I turn and slowly approach her. As soon as I turn and slowly approach her, she gets up, I step back out of her reach and turn sideways. I mean, I'll keep doing this back and forth. I'll say sit 3 or 4 times, but eventually I just turn sideways and I just wait for the dog to sit on her own. As soon as she does, then I reach forward and start petting her. Now we do it, make sure you do it under her chin, hello. And at first be very quiet and very slow. But eventually you want to get really fast. Eventually you go, oh my God, what if you hear that dog? And she stays sitting. We've taught her, no matter what the human does, you're only going to get petted if you sit. Yes. She does this, kisses. So if she gives you a kiss, pet her and say kisses. It makes a nice, easy command word. This is truly the easiest way to train any dog. Penny, and then what happened? I can't tell them that. You're not allowed to have more than 1 bully stick a day. Go to the green spot. Get yourself some bully sticks, some kneecaps, cow's ears, cod skins, tracheas, chicken feet. Have a whole bunch of those in a cupboard somewhere. So if you have a guest come over and she's not happy with them, if every time a guest comes over I get the high-value edible chew item, well, can we get more people coming over? Because I create a positive association with it. But that the first hour of the session, we would want to have somebody comes over that listens to you, that ignores her, and can move slowly and toss those treats. Eventually, she's going to feel more comfortable with them. And the more that you enforce these rules and boundaries, remember you have 3 seconds to correct or reward her to make the connection. But the more you take over the leadership role by demonstrating that you're a leader, the more confident she's going to be, less she's going to think she needs to bark at squirrels and everybody coming by. And then she can adopt a follower's mindset and say, the human's got it under control, I'm just going to chill out. Right, Penny? Well, this is Penny, and this is her roadmap to success. Remember, everything you do trains your dog, only sometimes you mean it. Right, Penny? Oh, thank you, sweetheart.